Okay, welcome to Scrub Mode, the podcast.
I like how you came in like you're just some really upset like homeowner that just found out like a leak happened in their basement. Welcome
to Scrub Mode, the podcast that sits at the intersection of gaming and monsters. My name's Julio, and I'm joined by my three friends today, John, Ryan, and you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Spizzy.
Yeah.
I'm joining the podcast today as a longtime fan, first time, well, not caller-inner, but there were calls that went on about figuring out me joining this.
But we're calls off show.
Yeah.
That happened.
But you are you are the first person I've DM'd for, so it's sort of thematic having you here as busy. And
Yeah.
also, like, you're a game designer and stuff like that, and like you have many talents that are relevant. You've been with me as I've ranted about all sorts of big feet and UFOs and stuff like that, so it's great to have you here.
I've got the direct line on the spooky drops, as they're sometimes called in October.
Yes. Another, just again, I can't scream about Bigfoot enough.
Oh man, you really can.
But yeah, we're doing what I'd call a magical mounts episode.
I love that shit. I love
alliteration.
Yeah. And I know
into the soul.
it worked for Stan Lee. It'll work for us. We just have to force it. So yeah,
Just gotta force it to mold with our show.
Yeah.
It's a Monster Manual episode, right? We're talking
Get
about
in
Gryphons.
there. We're talking Gryphons.
Also
We're talking Hippogryphs, because even though they're not next to each other,
They are.
I like
they're
to put them in rhyme. They're rhyming stuff. And I know I'm so stoked about this. I know Spiz has some notes, but
Yeah, did a little research.
for anyone not in the know, like, what is a griffin? Anyone got a quick defo?
It's a half bird, half cat thing, right? It's like half eagle, half lion.
Yeah, you got it. Half eagle, half lion.
And with wings.
Classic chimerical beast. The design is pretty sick too, where it's pretty much just an entire eagle with a lion growing off the back of it.
Yeah, it's an eagle with a lion for a butt.
Yeah,
And it's pretty dope.
they're pretty cool. And
You wanna jump
hippogriff's
in-
just like.
Oh, that's right. It's got the talons on the front.
As far as I
That's
know,
right.
a hippogriff is like the offspring of a griffin and a horse, right?
I didn't catch. Well,
I think that's where that's when
we'll get to
origin.
that when we get to hippogriff. But yes, like,
Yeah.
So it's the donkey of the mythical beast world. Where we're like,
Yeah.
horse plus.
Horse
Horse.
plus mystical creature. For some reason, the horse is very versatile when it comes to birthing new creatures.
yeah. You ever think? I like to think, like, do you think the wings or the horse stuff is recessive? Like, if you have two hippogriffs, is there a chance you'll just get a horse?
Maybe.
It's just that strong.
Begs
Yeah.
a terrifying question for centaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh,
You think the hippogriff is like disappointed that like a regular horse popped out?
Oh, for sure.
They're like, no, the lineage has died with you.
wow.
I don't know what you got in your notes, but like, not much to talk about on the D&D side for Griffin. So I was going to launch in there, Spiz.
I mean, on the D&D side, there's just the basic concept of them being a combination of two highly vertical predators, right? Like an eagle's classic attack is a dive, and a large cat's classic attack is a pounce. So they have this very look out above you situation in D&D.
Yeah, they've got a pretty mean multi-attack for such a low-level creature, but that's kind of it.
Mm-hmm.
They can fly.
I mean, the thought behind it is pretty cool though, because it's all the deadly goring ability of a raptor, but with all the back power of a panther.
Yeah. You'd think they'd
Well,
have a rake ability, like in
that's
3.5.
Something like that, right?
That was something I was going to point out, where I'm like, the big cat's actual attack is grip with the front legs and then rake with the back legs, and the eagle just grips with the front. Like, if you kill an eagle with its claws closed, they don't cut. Like, they have to flex a muscle to open their claws.
Damn,
or
is that
something
true?
like that.
Jamie,
I read
pull that up.
I'd read that somewhere. Somebody else fact check me on this, but I'd read somewhere
Look
that,
at that.
the eagle
Oh,
has to
it's so
flex
strong.
a muscle to release its claws.
Like a gator. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it made, like John was saying, it makes perfect sense to me to be like, yeah, those front claws are built to grip and hold and pierce, and then if you just throw in the lion panther tiger move of curling into a ball and kicking it 500 times.
Hell yeah.
Have you ever seen a like, not to get too off or too gory or too, Joe Rogan, like, have you ever seen a lion like do that? Have you ever seen nature footage? Or like, I guess if you have a house cat like you do, Spiz, have you ever seen your cat do that to an animal?
I mean, my cats tend to just throw lizards around.
Yeah.
It's awful to see, like, because that move, if it works out right, like, the lion just literally kicks the guts out of something.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's horrific.
With house cats, you tend to run the risk if you pet a house cat's belly, you run the risk of them pulling that rake move on you.
If you pet any part of a house cat, right, they can do that move to you.
They could flip right over.
Again, Charlie Kelly, cats are, cats are crazy because they can squish down the rib cage and fit between the cracks between walls. Keanu Reeves, cats are good, they're in between.
So naturally, the griffin is the superior of the two between the griffin and the hippogriff.
And that's
it's got a better second half.
We'll get there in a second, but that's reflected in its CR. It's a CR2 to the griffins, I think CR1. Or to the hippogriff CR1. God, there's going to be so many little mistakes in this.
I've always been a little confused about the handle animal ability.
Yeah.
Or is it a skill check? I forget what it is.
Skill check, yeah.
It's a skill check, right?
It's really a relic from 3.5 because there's nobody takes it in 5th unless you want to be the pet keeper, ranger, or druid, or you want to be a knight who rides a horse. Because it really, how often are you going to need to make a guard dog chill out when you could just put it to sleep or something with a spell?
I mean, as you alluded to, John, you were my first DM, so you might just be an example of this. But I find too that they're just it's a check that comes up primarily if you don't have somebody who can just speak to animals, because when you can speak to animals, suddenly it's not the skill you used, you just use your conversation skills.
Yeah. Which that's a good point, because if you're going to be a pet keeper ranger, or you're going to be one of the summoning druids, you're going to get the ability to speak with animals. You don't need to put points into handle animal. You can just be like, Frank, quit it, all right?
You
no more pig on the rug.
Be like Aquaman and just command them, I guess.
Yeah.
From a D&D,
come on, man, we talked about this.
From a rulebook angle too, the challenge, the DC to tame a griffin is 28.
Yeah.
Not only do you need to crank it on the dice, you gotta have a pretty good modifier, to actually stand a chance.
Yeah, which actually that gets into one of the griffin does not have a lot of fluff in the 5th ed monster manual, but one of the ones is they are untamable unless you carefully raise them from a baby, and even then it's super hard. But hey, who doesn't want a flying lion as a knight?
I know, right?
That's pretty rad.
It sounds pretty cool.
The hippogriff is definitely the much more approachable mount, just by, again, the nature of the second beast we've mixed in there.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. Yeah. The horse nature of it. Yeah.
I'm in the weird position of being somebody who loves Central Asian history and fucking hates horses, but I gotta admit, horse easier to ride than cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just a joke for Spencer, but somewhere Russell, a fucking piece of electricity, just ran up Russell's spine. He's our friend who trains horses.
The equestrian of the group.
Wow.
That's basically all I got for D&D Griffin shit. You guys have any mechanical stuff, or should we get into the weird ephemera?
I mean, they inherit some of the nice stuff from their mythology into the D&D mix. They're noted as being highly territorial and protective of their kin, which sort of emerges from them being this sort of guardian beast in a lot of the mythology.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They seem like a natural one to be it's an obstacle rather than a monster that you fight necessarily. In D&D terms to me, where it's just there are griffins in the way. You could try and get past them in a myriad of different ways. They're just an obstacle, not a preset fight.
Yeah, not a trap, not a boss monster, not a swarm, not a fight, but an obstacle. And like we said, mechanically not interesting, but they do what they say they do on the tin. And we don't always need a monster to have a unique ability.
And I think, as you alluded to, their flight and being a mount is probably the biggest thing as a D&D mechanic, where you're you strap another unit to it, suddenly it has a free move. The D&D mechanic would be it moves for free at the mount speed, and suddenly the mount can also make attacks. And if it's a griffin, that's a multi-attack, like you said, with some claws.
Yeah. And they're only CR2. You can probably get away with that pretty early in the game.
Probably.
It's not like you're trying to fucking ride a dragon,
That's true.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
unicorns. I mean, the Pegasi are going to be for more good aligned characters. Neutral or evil, maybe find a griffin.
I got some Griffin writers coming up when we get into the weird lore, so maybe it's time.
Oh man, I'm excited.
All right, you want to kick us off? What do you get on Griffins, Spiz?
So some of the stuff that I pulled up talks about their origins being loosely traced to, like, Egypt and Persia, and there seems to be like a pretty close connotation to the chimerical nature of the Sphinx, as that also is like both Greek and Egyptian in nature and presentation in mythology. But there's not I couldn't find a specific myth that was the source myth of the griffin. They just sort of emerge as like symbols in places. And tracking some of the linguistics, I was like, maybe they're related to some of the like Cerberus and other like children of Echidna that are like monstrous guardian beasts in areas, but I wasn't really, it seems like they might predate the Greek like adoption of them.
We were talking off mic. I think that's true. Did you catch the Egyptian name for the griffin?
No, what was the Egyptian? I don't have that in my notes.
It's the terror into pieces-er. That's what it translates to, which I think is badass.
Terror.
The rip apart beast.
That's a pretty rad name. I feel like that would be a name that someone would apply to like a legendary weapon.
Or a cat, or a house cat that's mean.
That too.
Yeah, the cat angle definitely makes sense to me, where it's like, this is named about as well as an orange is, where you're like, well, what is it? It's the thing that rips people up into pieces.
Are we gonna get
they had a phrase for it, right? So like in their language it sounds super cool, and then it's applied to a sword, and then when like society advances and we gain more information, then it becomes a cat's name because it sounds silly.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to get to talk about manticores eventually? Or...
Oh, yeah.
Eventually.
When we get to
They're in the monster manual, right?
I love manticores. Speaking of something with cryptid history, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Do you want to run the manticore episode? Because I'd be down.
Yeah, I'd be down.
Hell yeah.
All I could think of is that Ninja Sex Party song.
Manticore's the scorpion stinger one, right?
It's the scorpion
with the
tiger
human face. With the lion with the human face and scorpion stinger.
Not enough stuff has stingers.
Yeah.
I like
too much stuff has wings, but not enough stuff has stingers.
I feel like too many things have human faces.
Why can't it just be a human with a lion face?
I do sort of like, we're way off topic, but I do like that the manticore gets at least like multiple rows of teeth, so the face isn't like too human.
Yeah, that's true.
Or that like Leon
horrifying.
and Sun vibe, right? Where it's like
Yeah. Anyway, did you catch the Hesiod myth about like where in the BC area about where griffins come from?
No.
I looked at where they move, like some of the like changes in depiction of them from classical into like Renaissance. There aren't too many. The biggest thing is that like as the hippogriff emerges alongside them around Renaissance times, they start getting more depicted as like literally mounts, whereas earlier depictions, I think you mentioned this off camera to me, that like, yeah, it could just be the way that it's depicted and we're missing the myth. But a lot of the other ones seem more like allegorical in that it's like to have somebody riding a griffin. The griffin was very like symbolic as like divine power or like a protector, where it's like, it's not a literal griffin. The griffin just means this is a guarded vault. It modifies an existing symbol.
Also, people like a lion, people like an eagle, moosh them together. You got a lion eagle. Save some space on your flag.
It's
but one of the things that's carried over from their like
apple pen.
Yeah.
One of the things that's carried over from their classical depiction too is rather than some of the chimerical creatures that have a bunch of shit mixed in, this just has like a duality of land and air, of the terrestrial and the celestial.
Yeah.
So some of that was like in Egyptian, it was more associated with like sun gods, Ra, like solar protection and such. But I saw that apparently in the Middle Ages, this was seen as like a direct Christ analog, where they're
what?
Bridging the
gap between
material,
the heavens and earth.
not the material and the immaterial, but like the terrestrial and the celestial.
Okay, I can see it.
Ooh.
Like the heavens and the earth sort of thing.
I thought that one snuck off on me, but I'm like, I guess, right? Like the eagle and the lion often associated with like leader deities and such.
I mean, like,
Nice.
Be it Zeus
dude I love to make fun of, C.S. Lewis, who made his Jesus a literal lion.
For real.
Hey. Good old Narnia.
Anyway, so our ancient historian Hesiod, ancient Greek historian, says that the Gryphons lived in the Rippian Mountains, which I guess is appropriate, considering they are the rippers into pieces of her.
Yeah. The Rippian of the mountain lion.
I'll Rippian ya a new one.
Oh, fuck.
The Ripper new wonder.
And this mountain range existed between the Hyperboreans and the Arimaspians, which is a lot of words. Do you know what these are? Have you heard these terms before?
I feel like
Absolutely
I heard Hyperborean in a Lovecraft novel once.
Yes.
A lot of Ians.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know,
If you hear anything in the background, my wife's just doing stuff.
that's fine.
Yeah.
My wife.
Okay, so
What did you think?
it's
My
so
wife.
hard. It's so hard not. So
Not to say that.
even 5 years in, it's really hard.
It's crazy. It's crazy how it's changed
Yeah.
the lexicon of addressing your wife.
Has it been 5 years for you, Jeff?
Yeah, 2019. Pandemic would be crazy.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, remember that blip of life that disappeared?
Yeah. Rippian Mountains.
But that's not about this.
Never heard of them before. They are apparently near the Volga River in Russian. So,
Ooh.
and the Hyperboreans are, and this might be why you've heard of it in like Lovecraft stuff, Spencer, because it shows up in Lovecraft stuff as well as in, like Conan the
Just a
Barbarian
sec, guys.
stuff.
Let me just check and see what's going on real quick.
Sure.
Nice.
Fix it in post. How's your day, Ryan?
It's pretty good. Today was very warm. You know,
Sorry about
had to work only a little
gonna
bit.
move a
in the-
cat.
Oh,
in
it's
the
taking
heat,
up a
but,
box.
yeah.
All right, tell us when you're back, Spiz.
Alright, so sorry.
No worries. It's
okay.
It's that kind of a recording day.
We'll
Yeah.
fix it in post.
Fix it
Yeah.
in post.
We have the ability. We have the power.
Yeah.
I have also been watching a lot of old television.
What kind?
Apart from Columbo, obviously, but like I've been watching old episodes of X-Play.
Oh
You
my!
remember that
Right
TV
after
show?
Adam Sessler gets canceled. You know, I used to have a signed X-Play shirt because they
Wow.
came and did some shit for my dad, and he knew I was a huge
forgot
fan.
all about
happened?
X-Play.
What happened to Sessler? What did he do?
He posted some. I'll try to find it. I don't think it was the worst cancellation, but he posted some insane bullshit about like, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember
weird.
Adam
It was like a
Sessler.
bad take, but it wasn't like a racist take. It was just a little
Oh,
like,
it was just like in poor taste.
yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Cats away. They
No
fight.
worries.
No problem.
I got too many cats.
Which
all right.
is 2.
Where was I? Hyperborea, right? So Borea is the northern wind, so Hyperborea is the place above the northern wind, and the Greeks thought, like,
Oh.
if you kept going north, it'd quit being cold, and it would be a beautiful, perfect, forever spring country. So, like, the idea is, like, Griffins are almost at the edge of the goddamn world.
I see.
They're just that special.
Yeah, they're just that rare, which is, I was saying this a little bit off camera. It gets funny because, like, once the Greeks conquer up to, like, the edge of the Volga River and there ain't no Griffins, they're like, well, they're a little farther east. They're probably in Anatolia. And, like, once they get through there and stuff like that, it's a little farther east and a little farther east until, like, eventually, you know, Alexander
They're back
the
to
Great
where they
gets
started.
all the way to India, and the Greeks are like, they're probably in India somewhere. I don't know.
No idea about these migration patterns.
Yeah, weird migration
Crazy.
patterns.
They're going crazy.
They clearly fly south for the winter.
They're just like, oh crap, we missed them by
Yeah.
like a few months.
Shoot, guys, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, John, as a Bigfoot fan, isn't that kind of what they say about Bigfoot?
Oh, yeah, oh
Like,
my
we
god.
just go a little
He
bit farther.
migrates.
I mean, yes, exactly. That's my point. That's so cryptid. Where they're like, well, nope. No Bigfoot here. There's a fucking Waffle House in this part of Northern California right now. Can't be a Bigfoot here. He's probably a little farther north.
The absence
He
of
opened
evidence
this
is
Waffle
not the
House,
evidence
actually.
of absence.
I think you sent me a post recently that was like some like natural reserve with a sign that's just like, hey, don't camp here because they're known to have some Latin name for Sasquatch or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
It was definitely
Or it was
like
like-
a
Show us that
gorilla
image,
troll thing, but it was for one of our and I didn't see it in person, but it was like for Sammamish or something like that, like one of our local neighborhoods.
Oh.
I imagine the
Interesting.
Romans had something similar where they were just like, hey, careful.
Yeah, they
Griffins
did.
have been known to be seen in this area. Don't move into these hills.
Don't dawdle here.
Yeah. So yeah, indeed. So the Aramaspians were allegedly a tribe of one-eyed men who lived at the foot of the Rippian Mountains, and they got gold. The Griffins got gold. They want the gold. They fight the Griffins, or sometimes Griffins love horse meat. Yum yum yum. These guys ride on horses all the time, like many of the real-life nomadic peoples who would have lived in the area, like the Scythians. Griffins love horse meat. These guys got horses. They fight. These dudes, the Griffins, mortal enemies.
Now, if
Give me your horse.
Griffins love horse meat, does that lend us a certain understanding of how the coupling might occur for Julio's proposed breeding of hippogriffs?
Ugh.
I don't want
Maybe.
to. I don't want to think about that too much.
Maybe
It was a griffin that, decided, perhaps we could love.
He said that blank looks tasty, but he meant it in the modern sense.
Exactly.
Maybe.
The griffin said, "You looking like a snack." And the horse is like, "Me?"
The horse said nay.
That's where my notes for the ancient world goes. Do you have any more ancient world stuff, or should we move into like Renaissance-y Griffin stuff?
Are we going to talk about Orlando?
Right, you mentioned
Furioso,
the
right?
Greek one was that
Oh, we'll get there.
the Greeks attributed them to like some areas, but yeah. They were guardians of gold in Scythia, is
Yeah.
my note.
And Scythia would have been like sort of that plateau, sort of above Greece, east of Thessaloniki, sort of like in modern day Ukraine and those plains, which gets us up to the Volga. So yeah, this is not sourced, but Wikipedia says that griffin claws have medical properties and that their feathers can cure blindness.
I wonder why there's no source for that.
Yeah.
I would
Clearly,
like to
because
know.
they don't want anybody to know. It's Big Pharma's fault.
Yeah, big pharma's hiding all the griffins. You think your insulin medicine comes from like hamsters and stuff like that?
Nah,
Griffin claw, powdered griffin claw.
exactly.
That's why it's so expensive. But
They-
Congress,
They
Yeah.
take a mere gram of griffin's claw, and that's enough to create enough
yeah,
enough
What were the-
insulin to
said-
save the world.
You said the feathers were for blindness?
yeah, the feathers cure blindness according to this unsourced line on Wikipedia.
It didn't happen to say whether like you just rub the feathers on their eyes or grind it up into a powder. How do you treat something with feathers?
I hope you make a tea from them, because applying any form of feathers, which are just like, they're not bone, they're not cartilage. What are they? Are they keratin? Are they like fingernails? Any
think
part
they're
of that
keratin,
sounds
yeah.
bad in my eyes. Grind them up, eat them
You-
whole.
Yeah.
No, you put them in a one giant duster, and then you just apply it to the eyes.
Ugh.
I think
No,
you
no,
just-
not apply like that, but like you just brush the eyes lightly,
With
and
the
then
feathers.
it shoos away. Yeah,
As
it
if
shoos away
dusting
the
them.
blindness.
As if dusting them.
Of the
Yeah.
various parts of a bird, the feather does not occur to me as the one to use to treat anything.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's magical. Don't worry.
Um,
You take the one feather, you put it over your head, wave it around. It conjures the winds.
oh, I like
Very
the
good.
idea that you don't actually apply it physically. You just do a Sailor Moon style spin around,
Exactly.
like
exactly.
Moon Tiara transformation.
Highly
Yeah.
ritualistic.
Yeah.
You hand it to the person afflicted with blindness. You tell them to raise it above their head, spin 3 times,
And that's how
and
they're
the
cured.
blessing of the griffin will pull your blindness away.
Yeah.
I went right to the pointy end of the feather.
That was
as
my
soon as you
first
said
thought, too.
eyes, I was like,
Poke 'em in
oh
the eye."
man. Yeah.
You can't see it because I'm wincing into the camera. I'm shielding my eyes.
Oh, yeah. I got
And they
sensitive
can't
eyes.
see it
too.
either.
And another like rare L for Wikipedia. According to Wikipedia, the symbol for the New Zealand Air Force is a griffin holding a
Holding a tomahawk missile.
Well, close. Holding a taiaha, which is a Maori polearm.
Ooh.
Okay.
But I could not find that image anywhere. I think they're making it up. The actual rondelle for the New Zealand Air Force is this. I just dropped it into the chat.
It's a griffin holding the knife missile.
Yeah, holding the Raytheon knife missile. Someone want to describe what they see there in the chat?
Did you post it?
I don't see anything, bro.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Wrong chat?
Send it-
No, I
Is
put
there
it in
another
the chat
chat?
in Riverside, but if it didn't work, I'm just going to tell you.
Oh,
in
my
the-
bad.
oh, on the Riverside.
All right, I'll go check in there. Hold
Oh,
on.
there it is.
Hold on. I see it. Ooh.
Oh, it's a link.
I don't see
That's a
it because
copy-paste
it only showed up as a text.
Okay, it's a Kiwi. God, there was so much lead up for a joke that's going to fall
Oh,
flat.
it is
I
a
Oh,
kiwi.
wow.
I just think
It's like a bullseye with a little kiwi in the middle.
Yeah, I just think it's really funny that the New Zealand Air Force is like, let's put a flightless bird on our jets.
That'll really get them all confused.
Pretty emblematic of the country as a whole, I think.
New Zealand Air Force, also known as the Sitting Ducks.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Not to call out New Zealand, just making a joke about the Kiwis.
No, we
Yeah,
love
yeah,
New Zealand.
yeah.
I spent like a year there. It slaps. It's great.
Yeah.
We love the New
But
Zealanders.
they can certainly take the piss not just out of us, but out of themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, Spiz, did you got anything else you want to cover here?
Relative to like their ancient history, no, I mean they're very symbolic creatures, right?
Yeah.
Like that's probably my biggest thing. That it's like my biggest takeaway from having researched them. And I'm like, the myths are loose on the ground and more about their connotation of being like, it's an eagle and a lion. You get
Yeah.
what that means, right? Like they're
It's like
they're
Yeah,
scary
Apex,
but
yeah.
majestic. They're
Yeah.
They're
Fierce.
super cool.
Super cool apex predator.
Yeah.
vigilant.
Yeah.
So let's my punch up, as we discussed. Like, just let people ride the Griffin, and I have a historical Griffin riding story for you.
Sweet.
Ooh,
Have you ever heard of the adventures of a Splandian?
Splandian.
Okay, so this is a 1510 chivalric romance about the travels of a knight named Splandian. So for context, this is a book that came out less than 20 years after the Spanish found the Americas. And this is a story set in the Americas when they still didn't know shit about... I just ripped my headphone out. They still didn't know shit about anything that was happening here.
Wow.
Classic.
Okay, so tell me... it takes place... in this story, there is an island off the west coast of America. It is a beautiful place, home to griffins and dark-skinned Amazons and a ton of gold. And this mythical land is called California.
Oakland. Oh, close.
You were
Close.
in the neighborhood, man.
Yeah.
You actually
Yeah,
zoomed in
sure
too
was.
far.
So that's not a bit. That's where the name of the state where we all grew up comes from, is this fucking book.
Hell yeah. Also, hell why?
And yet we got a bear on our freaking flag.
Yeah, give us the
Coulda had
Should have been a griffin.
Could have been a griffin.
We missed out so much.
Could have
Heck,
been
man,
a
we
big
could
buff
just put an
supermodel riding a griffin.
Hell, man, we could
Yeah, it
make
could
a
have been an Amazonian fucking.
Could have been Big Mommy Ride Griffin. We would have all been
Hell
happier.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Hey,
that
man,
be
I-
such a cool flag?
I'd be
That'd
open
be
to
right.
just putting an eagle head on a bear.
Yeah.
I'd be open to
Hell
that
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Call it a California.
So in this story, again, I should back up for context. Cortez wouldn't war crime the Aztecs for another 8 years by this time this came out. Like, these people had no idea what the fuck was happening in the Americas. Like, what was there? So this is
Yeah.
basically a speculative fantasy. But in the story, there is a caliph of California named Calafia, which is hard to say. This is extra confusing because she's not a caliph, which is a Muslim ruler. She's
I was
a
gonna say,
pagan.
are they Muslim?
No, they are specifically pagan, but in a great example of solidarity, she hears that the Turks are attacking Byzantium, which is confusing because Byzantium fell 50 years before this book was published.
Okay.
But she hears that the Turks are attacking Byzantium, so she's like, you know what? Fuck Christianity. I'm going to send 500 griffins to go kill all the Christians there.
That's a lot of griffins.
That's a lot of griffins.
Yeah. But there is a problem. You see, griffins, they can't tell the difference between Christians and Muslims. They just hate all men.
I mean, I know
That's
how they
pretty
would.
rough.
Yeah.
Nothing magical. No, they just hate people.
Also, like, flying
Griffins,
straight
pretty-
from California to Constantinople, this is a long-ass flight. They gotta be tired.
Yeah.
They gotta
Griffins
be
are kind of-
tired, and they're not focused, so that's out the window.
Yeah.
So they're just like, there's people fighting, just start mauling everybody, boys.
Given their proclivity to attack anybody, maybe they're kind of the opposite of those coexist bumper stickers. Where they're
Maybe,
like, they
yeah.
give it to anybody.
Yeah.
It would not be these guys.
Griffin just has that dog in him. He'll fight anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so eventually the other caliphs and Muslim rulers are like, okay, the Griffins are doing too much friendly fire, bro. You gotta call them off.
You gotta haul them back in.
And she does, and because it's a chivalric romance, she like falls in love with a Splandian, and in a very bummer ending, Calafia converts to Christianity, specifically Spanish Catholicism.
No.
She announces the error of her ways, and she brings Christianity to California.
That's the bad ending.
Yeah, right. If you're Christian, we love you. I'm just saying it's kind of a bummer considering the real history of what happened.
Yeah.
That there was a man by the name of Dave Burbank.
We
Bought
should
a
talk
plot of
about
land.
We should talk about Dr. Burbank sometimes because I did a deep dive on him one day while stuck in traffic, and he's a fucking con man.
He really was.
Yeah.
He opened a sheep farm. He was a
Shots
dentist.
fired on scrub mode.
Yeah.
We're looking at you, Burbank.
Yeah.
And I just confided in this guy. I was moving there.
Oh shit.
The ghost of Dr. Burbank's waiting. So yeah, that brings me to Punch Up. How would you guys use these in the campaign? You got any ideas? I already said mine is just do that thing. Put knights on them. Put Amazons on them. They're cool mounts.
Yeah.
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 Just use them as mounts. I remember I had an early idea for like a little novel, a little fantasy novel of like a league or like a team of hippogriff riding knights. I remember I called them like something stupid like the Knights of Stratos or something like that.
I mean, that sounds like
yeah.
that doesn't sound bad to me because like I think of this, and this is maybe more the Pegasus stuff, but okay, hey, get out your scrub mode bingo cards. I'm about to talk about Warhammer.
Oh, nice.
The best unit in the
I
chivalric
haven't
knight
won
army.
in a while.
Yeah, is the what the so-called Bretonian Air Force, which is a bunch of knights on Pegasuses and stuff like that.
Ooh, that's cool.
Pegasuses and Gryphons and Hippogryphs. So like, I'm gonna have a similar punch up for Hippogryph, but yeah, it's the put knights on Gryphons. And if I were to give the Gryphons mechanical punch up, I'd let them hit and run without opportunity attacks. Let them swoop down, grab somebody, fly away, drop them.
That'd be great.
Hell yeah.
Just like
That'd
they
be
did in
awesome.
the beautiful land of California. The beautiful mystical made-up land.
The mystical made-up land of California. The land of gold.
The land of
And large Amazonian
and large,
women.
beautiful women.
I think
God,
to,
where did they go?
I think to set up a interesting encounter with them, it might be fun to lean into the avian side and just be like, hey, the threat isn't a griffin or griffins as mounts on a couple guys. It's a big ass flock of them coming through. Like that, there's some migration pattern that causes these territorial creatures to pass through and create. Once again, I think that they're like an obstacle more than
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
monster that you would necessarily fight as a thing. You'd set it up as being like, hey, in order to pass through this area, there's a migration of griffins. They don't like anybody coming through when they're moving their young north or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
And just be like,
I
you got to
that,
deal
like
with
a
it.
mama bear. Because I was thinking eggs, because that's the stories, but I like the idea of doing like a mama bear thing. Like, you can't even, you're going to get attacked. The griffins are not just territorial, but like, they got the baby bears with them. They got the baby griffins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Then
kill
you
you.
get to separately
Kinda
babies.
You know that's a fact too, right? It's like the most of the grizzly bear deaths occur because a mom is like, "Did you look at my kids funny?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm sorry, their babies
Don't look
are
at my
so
kid.
cute.
My partner.
Are you
just-
one of those weird people? Don't look at my kid. Where are you? They stand up.
Yeah. Oh my god. My partner just got back from a sightseeing tour in the northern part of southern part of Alaska and northern part of Canada, where she like got on a specially designed boat to go see bears in the wild, and she had a fucking great time. She
That's
loves
cool.
bears.
Boat?
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's cool.
she saw
Bears
3
are
baby
cool.
bears. She was over the moon.
Wow.
I did one of those like drive through an animal sanctuary in your cars where they
Oh.
had bears, and you're like, oh hey, that bear's just on the other side of this glass, and
I wouldn't.
the main reason I really shouldn't have is I did it with my mother, and there was a like classic my mom moment where out in the middle of the thing you hear over the speaker, "Will the lady in the red car roll up your windows? Roll up your windows."
Oh no.
I know. I've heard that your mom listens sometimes. So Liz, if you are listening, we love you.
It was one of those moments where you heard the automatic window motor go.
Damn, that is a your mom move.
It's
Wow.
very classic.
That's all I got for Gryphons. You guys got anything else, or should we move to Hippogryphs?
I'm kind of really excited to move on to Hippogryphs.
I know you have a special place in your heart for Hippogryphs, Julio.
Yeah, they're great.
That was a
Let
really
'em
cute
spit
cat
fire.
sound.
Oh, sorry, that's
No,
my
keep
cat.
that in, Julio. Keep that in.
Okay.
Was that Pounce?
No, that was Miss Knight. She was
Damn.
sitting on top of my notes, and I went to scooch her, and she was just like, "I think this paper's perfect for cats."
Have you ever considered perhaps leaving this on the floor for me?
You know these notes. There's only like 12 more.
You're gonna throw them away. Why not put them here where I can throw them around?
Oh, cats. Again, starting with the D&D side because that's quick. They're just Gryphons, but worse mechanically.
A little bit worse,
Oh.
huh?
Griffins,
Yeah.
but worse, but
Do they have a
easier to
kick?
tame.
Yes.
So a
Okay.
little bit easier access to that 3D movement
Right.
benefit.
I
All the
think-
benefits of a horse still kick people in the head.
But it can also fly and get some multi-attack, so pretty
Yeah.
dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Big ups.
I guess we should say, what is a hippogriff? I think we've mentioned it, but just in case, eagle horse as opposed to eagle lion.
Eagle,
Straight-
half eagle, half horse.
Straight out of the Greek, hippo meaning horse, and griff meaning griffin.
Yeah. Shit, you did say that. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Yeah.
just a funny one to
Strangely
me.
enough, this creature has a rake ability.
Wait, does it?
No.
No, okay. I'm pretty sure it just has a pretty okay multi-attack.
I'm just saying, it'd be funny if the one with the claws didn't have
Yeah, but
the
the one
rake
with the hooves
ability.
did.
But the one with the hooves, they're particularly sharp hooves.
Hey
I
man,
know in Magic the Gathering, the hippogriff is distinct from the griffin in that they're like part horse and they're part like heron or some
That's
kind
also
of stork.
that's another scrub mode bingo because Julio talked about magic.
Yeah.
Ding ding ding.
You want to talk about Common Rider real quick, Ryan? We can complete the circle.
There's no hippogriff rider, unfortunately. There is a rider who has a phoenix theme,
okay.
and their kick is that they grow giant. They grow giant mechanical energy claws that tear into the person when they kick them, which is
All right,
pretty sweet.
super tangentially coming off of you literally just said the word kick. It strikes me that a big cat and a horse are like two of the only animals that will kill you by kicking you, aside
Yeah.
from maybe
Yeah.
a kangaroo. And then I said maybe we should put an eagle head on a kangaroo, and
And
then
they
we can have
said,
the full
"Eh."
trifecta.
It's funny you
don't know what
mentioned
to
that.
call it yet.
I am working on some spooky drops and maybe a scrub mode episode. I am doing an Australian cryptids, and that sounds
Ooh.
awful.
Australian
Doesn't I
cryptids.
maybe need to go to Mid Journey and see what I can whip up.
Whoa.
Oh man.
Maybe the eagle kangaroo will finally have the rake ability because it'll hold it like fists, right? So it can.
I
Your
think more
Bobby?
kangaroos should have punching abilities because it's funny.
Yeah. But then, like, you know, it has the giant kangaroo tail and the eagle wings. So, like, what if it, like, kept you in place with the claws and then kicked you in the gut, like, a million times?
Has anybody asked God to explain what the fuck was up with kangaroos yet?
No.
Marsupials in general are just kind of crazy.
I will defend a possum. I love them and their little fingerless goth gloves.
Yeah, they're
Hell
great.
yeah.
I like the is it koala marsupial?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like
Yes.
their noses, man. They got solid noses.
I will say they got cute noses. There are a bunch of horrifying facts about koalas, though.
Yeah.
Good old drop bears.
Drop bears, they're high amount of chlamydia.
All marsupials. Something about not
Oh
having...
right, they have chlamydia.
Something about
Oh,
them not
shit.
having placentals.
Yeah, they're non-placental mammals. Yeah.
Yeah. Is
I'm just
makes it
saying,
weird.
like the kangaroo is horrifying in the fact that like almost every kangaroo I've seen is like unfathomably ripped.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
I don't
really
know
buff.
what gym they hit out there in the desert, but like they have defined like pectoral and biceps.
Have you ever?
triceps?
And they
I,
It's insane.
they got the like rat claws too. So what they'll do is like they'll drag you and they'll fucking scratch you up.
Yeah.
And like they're all these like because I know dingoes aren't native to Australia, but they're native to Australia, and they're like kangaroos learned from fighting dingoes how to fight dogs, and they'll like lure them out to water and they'll fucking drown them with this big horrible. It sounds bad.
Yeah.
They're crazy. They're insane creatures.
Yeah. God, come on the show and explain kangaroos.
If you're out there, why don't you explain the kangaroo, huh?
Yeah.
What was going on in your mind during those 7 days?
I'll take any creator deity to answer
Yeah.
that one.
Big
Exactly.
fan of the universe, so please.
I promise not to bring up the platypus.
I mean, we're there. It's a chimeric.
We're
maybe-
there. That's
Wait,
what I'm
this
saying.
is-
Like, I don't want
That's-
it seems like it's too. Maybe he doesn't want to come because
That's the transition, though, because we have the platypus, and that's a chimerical creature, and we're back to the hippogriff,
is.
which is another.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for finding the transition.
Yeah.
This is another weird monster manual entry to get back to the hippogriff, where like we learn a lot about their breeding habits and their mating habits.
Oh.
Just like with the Etten, where it's like this is not at all helpful to any DM, but somebody had a good time writing it.
Yeah, somebody did.
it strikes me as being because both the griffin and the hippogriff as mounts, the breeding of them is kind of like of interest to players. Where like I know the griffins one had like specific egg prices. I didn't see it on the hippogriff, but I imagine that it might
for the
be similar.
hippogriff
They're like,
one, it just makes the weird note that they mate for life and they give live birth. They don't lay eggs.
Ah, okay.
so you'd have to like a
A
foal
foal.
go get it
Yeah.
from like some breeder,
You have
as
to have a
opposed to the
stable with hay.
as opposed to the griffin where you just daringly go snatch an egg and hope you get out of there.
Yeah.
Hippogriffs
Again, much easier to
appear-
train.
Yeah, hippogriffs appear a lot in books, right?
Yeah, I mean that's where I'm about to go, but
Yeah.
They're the one in Harry Potter. Don't
Yeah.
get confused. It's they use
Yeah.
the horse half in that.
Yeah.
that's all I got mechanically. You got any like D&D 3.5 or 5e stuff on them, Spiz, or should we jump to like the lore?
As you said, they are decidedly just Griffin light, where
Yeah.
they're like all this extra scary stuff on the Griffin is shaved down on the hippogriff. I thought it was noteworthy that they lean into that horse half and that their like ecology is more like plains and meadows, places where they can get a running start to take off, as opposed
Yeah.
to the Griffin was more like mountains, hills, like craggy areas where they have like
They
good
can
sight
just
lines
jump.
and just like they seem to
That's-
like an eagle take off just into their wingspan from a great height, as opposed to like a running start.
I do
Yeah.
love the spec evo of that because it's also like predator's going to dive down from the mountaintops, prey animal's going to run and fly away.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine that the Griffin also eats a bunch of like mountain goats in the same way. Have you ever seen an eagle take down a mountain goat?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is
Oh yeah. I think I saw that video.
this story is like maybe not funny enough for this, but my in a very high level math class, my partner
Math quest.
math quest. That's what we're calling
A
them.
very high level math quest. They
Hey
sent me
man,
out
D&D
to conquer
podcast, right?
Yes, thank
calculus.
you. But it was like some weird like ecology question where they're like, if this many X eats that many Y, like solve for this, and everybody got different answers because nobody could agree on how the food web worked. And the teacher just had to be like, okay, guys, eagles don't eat goats, and he got spammed with videos and images of golden
that-
eagles
yeah.
grabbing mountain goats and like throwing them off cliffs or just diving on baby goats. Like,
Yeah.
He's
Well,
like,
yeah,
you're
it's
wrong.
It's a decidedly brutal kill because they're just like, oh,
Oh,
are you
sure.
picking your way across a very narrow little ridge on this mountain? Get ready to go all the way to the bottom.
oh
of
yeah,
it.
Yeah. Oh, you managed to climb all the way up here, huh? Well, what if I just like kick you in the back of the head?
yeah. Oh, by the way, my
Like-
feet, they got fucking like 6-inch daggers on each of them. So
I got
Yeah.
knives.
yeah.
If you want to see an eagle hunt and be happy about it, make sure he's fishing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got my walk spot, my local walk spot, Green Lake. Maybe I'm just asking myself too much. There's like bald eagles roosting in one of the trees. I get to see them fish.
That's cool.
It's just eagles with that hat that says "Fish fear me, women want me."
Dude, eagles also got a cry that sounds like it's out of a movie SFX, where you're like, "There's no way a real animal makes that
Wait,
sound."
I thought that was maybe I'm repeating misinformation, but I thought that all the eagle sounds were actually red-tailed hawk sounds because the eagle kind of has a lame sound.
Oh, am I crazy?
Yeah.
I could have sworn I just saw a video that was like live footage of one scooping up a fish, and the call was this just like, I'm not going to do it into the mic for you, but it was this big
What's the most
majestic...
annoying sound in the world?
Yeah.
I thought, like I read somewhere that all the sounds that are perceived as eagles were just from another bird.
Hey man, maybe
And,
that
like, the
YouTube
actual-
short had good like After Effects
Yeah.
and editing. You know,
Maybe.
Well,
But, like,
we'll fact check it.
well, I mean, like, but like apparently the actual eagle noise is like some kind of weird screech.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. I was
I'm
like,
gonna
it was
check
this.
that and
It to me,
quiet.
it sounded like this screech. That I was like, that sounds like something that you would hear in Jurassic Park, where I'm like,
Ooh.
something's like coming in to murder something to death.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got YouTube
Yeah,
to
yeah.
help me.
Throw it up. What's it sound like?
Hold on.
As we're bringing it up, all that to say,
Yes.
seems like a worthy one to add to the fact that in D&D, the cry of both a hippogriff and a griffin probably pretty gnarly.
pretty
If I'm
scary.
right, I could totally be wrong about how cool they sound. Maybe they sound like a gargling burp.
So yeah, the hippogriff comes, unlike the griffin, where we're like, we don't know where the fuck this is from. The hippogriff has a very explicit starting point called Orlando Furioso,
Yeah.
or Angry Roland, if you want to translate it to English.
Angry Orlando.
Did you dig up any parts about this, Spiz, or should I take this one?
It's an old book.
I read.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
You've read it, Spitz?
No, I also dug up some notes on this specific book because as I was just trying to track down like the origin myths, I like John found that I'm like, oh, this is just from like some guy's like epic, like
It's a
romantic
parody.
poem. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a parody of romantic poems. Is what I found. Like it's a parody of the Esplandian one. It's supposed to talk about how stupid they are.
Oh wow. Because I know
Yeah,
I know the hippogriff is like in paintings of that book. Like
Oh, yeah.
Orlando rides one? I think?
His
No,
friend writes one.
His friend
Well,
rides one, right?
do you have the plot, Spencer? Or do you want me to talk about the plot?
The synopsis I read was more focused on the Griffin's depiction in it. That it was like, it's a mount used to traverse and get the gentleman who rides it is depicted as having like very chivalrous nature, and therefore the hippogriff is directly associated with being like, it's a gift that makes
Yeah.
this a complete package for you.
All right, I'll run through the plot real quick because it's pretty funny.
Hold on. So I posted a video with timestamp of when the eagle does a call to another eagle, and they just sound like birds.
Birds?
They don't sound like the cool like. That is definitely a red tail
it sounds
hawk
it
that
sounds
does
fine.
the call.
Sounds kind of cute.
It's better
It's
than I was
cute.
expecting. I'll say that. It's cooler than I was expecting.
Not a gargling belch.
Yes.
No.
All right. So, Roland is one of the paladins. We're like, yes, it's a D&D podcast. This is where we get the term paladin from, which were Charlemagne's best knights. So, like, in this story, Charlemagne is warring against the Muslims of Africa and also the King of Spain for some reason. And while this is happening, there's this pagan princess named Angelica who has been captured by the King of Bavaria, land of pretzels and lederhosen. And the gay swan castle, which I love very much.
His exports are crazy.
Yeah.
People love pretzels and lederhosen.
Quick talk. My understanding from my German friends is that Bavaria is the Texas of Germany. Like that's like the guns and
That's where all the
countryside.
guns are.
Yeah.
So like
That's where they do slow smoke barbecue really well.
yeah. It is where they do real beer real well. I'll say that.
I was gonna say.
I'm sure.
So Angelica is fleeing the Bavarian king, and Roland is in love with her, so he chases after her. But before he can catch up to her, she finds a wounded Saracen and she nurses him back to health, and in the process she falls in love, and then the two run away to China to get married.
Oh.
So Roland finds out, or Orlando, and he is furious. He is in fact furioso.
I see.
Oh, God.
And what happens next is basically World War Hulk.
Oh, nice.
If you've ever read it, he kills like every Christian army that tries to stop him. He kills them. Every Muslim army, every pagan army. He just fucking mows through everybody.
He just tears through corpses.
So
Yeah.
righteous is his fury.
Yes.
Oh, so.
Also.
Also.
So one of his buddies, another paladin named Astolfo, is like goes to a wizard in Ethiopia. Again, Ethiopia keeps coming up as a magical land in these stories, and he's like,
There's
wizard.
just magic there.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say the phonetics of it are nice.
It's also for Christians. It's probably the most remote Christian country that Christians could have thought of at that point in time.
Fair.
So the wizard's like, I got you. Here is a hippogriff. It'll only listen to you because you're chivalrous. You need to go to the moon. That's where everything that gets lost on Earth ends up. Which makes me think of the first episode of Regular Show.
Yeah.
Clearly, they're using deep inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very
deep cut.
nuanced, very complex historical analogies to 16th, 17th century Italian chivalric romance parodies.
Yeah.
I'm sure J.G.
I mean-
Quintel was thinking about that.
At the AM PM, at 1 a.m. at the AM.
I was gonna say, I'm sure
Exactly.
that the like actual genre of Regular Show is about as weird and cryptic sounding if we look at it like historically.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Hundreds of years from now, someone will read a synopsis of Regular Show and they're like, what?
I can't wait till Regular Show is old enough to show up and like for in 100 years from now when people are like, yeah, back in the day, this is what they were watching.
These are the cartoons of the day.
Yeah, this is what cartoons back then were like.
Anyway, so Astolfo uses the hippogriff, which
Why
by
is
the
he a bird?
yeah, the hippogriff, by the way, has super speed.
Of course
Oh.
it does.
So he uses the hippogriff.
In its original depiction, it had super speed.
Yeah, it can fly around the world in a day.
Wow.
Oh man, we need to buff it in
hippogriff.
D&D.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The hippogriff was originally part of the Speed Force.
yeah. Oh, we can't get started on the Speed Force. That shit's fucked.
That's insane. That's a bit of lore that needs a little bit of exposition.
Yeah.
Nearly omnipotent until we cross over and the Joker can beat it with marbles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Oops, little rolly things mess up your feet.
also Captain Cold, also Boomerang. Flash villains are weird.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that nullifies friction, you're done.
So yeah, he goes to the moon. He finds a bottle with Orlando's wits. He makes Orlando drink it, so he gets his wits back. And because love in this conception is a form of madness, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not into her anymore. I'm good now, guys. Sorry about World War hurting you all."
Sorry
I'm no
about
longer Furioso.
Yeah, the thing goes
that.
on.
I'm furious.
I'm furious. The thing goes on, but that's it for the hippogriff. So who cares?
I see. They're in another book I heard about
yeah,
that I
hit me.
own. It's called The Worm Ouroboros.
I haven't heard of it.
Never heard of it? I have this book right over here, actually.
Allow me to dip into the background.
This Worm Ouroboros.
Wait, who's
Apparently,
it by? How old is it?
apparently this was an inspiration, one of the inspirations to J.R.R. Tolkien, too.
Oh,
He read
really?
this book and he liked it. Yeah. By E.R. Edison. Yeah. That's the,
Let's
Give it a
fact check
Google.
that. Let's look into that. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
You got any more hippogriff stuff for us, Biz?
No. I mean, they largely are just like they are an offshoot of the Griffin, right?
Yeah.
Like by nature, there's not too much more to them beyond the fact that they're like Griffin, but like they
To the
like
point.
their name is practically Griffin asterisk.
Yeah, to the point that in D&D they're almost like a griffin recolor.
Yeah, and
Or
I
Echo
think
Fighter.
for the average
Exactly.
fantasy oriented person, the Griffin and the Hippogriff are identical.
Yeah.
They are the same animal. In
They're
the
the
same way they're
kin
like,
to-
you sit here and go, how do you spell Griffin? Is it with a Y, an I, an
Oh,
O?
fuck, my script has every spelling in there because they're spelled
that's right.
differently in every source.
And that's where I'm
Is
just
it a
like, I think
PH?
functionally,
Is it two F's?
we're sitting here talking about the distinctions between the griffin and the hippogriff. I think for the most part, you can functionally treat it as like, oh, in the same way that all horses are horses, a hippogriff and a griffin are the same thing.
Alrighty. So do we have any punch-ups for the griffin that are separate or from the hippogriff? Good God. Case in point. That are separate
really
from
cool.
the griffin? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Julio's
cool.
showing us what looks like a sigil of a hippogriff.
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Showing us an image of one. Is it what is it spewing?
steam, I imagine.
Oh, 'cause it's
Oh,
running so hot
okay.
like a big horse.
Yeah,
Because it's got the speed force coursing through its
Yeah,
veins.
exactly, right?
it's really cool.
It needs to let go of that.
Yeah,
How about that? How about that about a punch up? Give it super speed.
Yeah, give
and
it
then
super speed
overheats.
from the book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
give it, like, lightning
overheats,
powers
and then
or
it can
something.
expel steam to burn your enemies.
yeah.
Same thing as before. Give your knights an air force. That's my punch up. Like put
Yeah.
some knights on it.
Yeah.
Put armor on it.
Personally, I think
That'd
if
be
we
sick.
wanted to give them in D&D a little bit more distinction rather than being like, it's Griffin Light, I would lean into the fact that one is a horse and one's a lion, in the fact that horses as domesticated things can like mechanically accept armor and like have stuff and be like, these are the ones that you could put, like a hippogriff you could potentially slap armor on, but you couldn't armor unless you in your
griffin.
fantasy world you can armor lions, right? Like maybe if you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're armored lions, go ahead.
You can't pimp a well, fuck. I ruined the punchline. You can't pimp a griffin, but you can pimp a hippogriff, which is
Yeah,
really
we'll call
hard
them
to say.
pimpogriffs.
A
Pimpogriff.
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 Pimp my
Alright.
griff.
We got a few minutes left. Would you guys believe me if I told you there was a griffin? There's a hippogriff cryptid sighting from the last 120 years.
Really?
Where?
Upstate New York.
Wow.
Oh
That's kind of rad.
Sure wasn't a gargoyle.
Yeah.
no!
Prepare to be disappointed. Did you catch
Oh.
this one, Spiz, or should I?
No, I
fire?
was just like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm like, the winged taloned creatures, I'm like, there's one of those that you see around New York.
A lot.
Yeah.
Or like the lion in front of a library where somebody's like, yeah, the sun was setting and it kind of looked like it had wings.
Just everyone prepare to be disappointed.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Okay, so two fishermen, Harry Watrous and Colonel William
I'm
Mann.
already disappointed.
Yeah, right? The moment we have fishermen.
Hey,
it's
hey,
like,
hey! Remember, Godzilla starts with fishermen.
That's a good point.
Okay,
a
that's
good
fair.
point.
That's fair. That's fair.
Don't dismiss the fishermen.
No,
You see some shit.
But they do. They are first contact with the unknown.
Yes.
Most of the times.
But not this time, because they had a bet over who could catch a bigger fish, and apparently the Colonel caught a 40-pound trout, and Watrous was like, I can't beat that, but then later he found out that the captain had carved that trout from wood and faked the picture.
The captain was all like, all right, you stay on that end of the boat, and you fish over there, and I'll be on over here. And while he's over there, he's carving a trout out of wood.
Really
He's like, I
quietly
can't
whittling.
catch shit.
So in an act of revenge that I find super villainesque, Watrous decided he would make an elaborate lake monster, sea serpent-esque lake monster that he called Georgie, but the newspaper would dub the hippogriff for some goddamn reason.
Okay.
So I was unable to.
One, they need to fact check themselves.
Yeah, where was this
They're just
monster
confusing
manual?
hippopotamus and hippocampus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think somebody just plucked it out of a book and was like, "Bingo, bango! It's 1904. Nobody has spelled
They could
check."
have got. Man, they could have just been like Leviathan.
Yeah. Shitty
The
newsman.
Hydra has arrived.
Hey man, when you got like Nessie and Champy, I like when your sea monster has a nice cute name.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's a good point. Anyway, I could read you the whole quote from the secondary article, but basically, he got a telephone pole, he painted it up like a monster, he put little gemstone eyes in it from the craft store, and he rigged it up on a pulley so he could raise it and lower it.
Where does one get a telephone pole?
Us in 1904, I guess you just steal it.
I was gonna say, was it like a functioning telephone pole that he was just like, I need this for my prank, or did he have the hookup
mean-
where they're like, oh my brother, he installs the phone line, so don't worry. I got the hookup for really big poles.
I think these were both what you politely call superfluous gentlemen. Like, I don't think either of these dudes worked a day in their life.
They're busy fishing and carving fake fish.
I mean, if he just stole a functioning telephone pole from a street, that would make it even more villainous.
Yeah.
He's like, I got my goons together. Goons, pick up the telephone pole. We're putting it in the lake.
Quickly, goons, go to the harbor lobby. I need more craft paint.
When is this relative to like adoption of electricity? Is it like, you aren't impacting too many houses, just the rich snobs that need the power lines?
It's 1904, so electricity is common, but it's
I
1904.
ain't never know the warmth of a home. They won't mind having no electricity for 2 days.
Hey, this is why we goons need to form a union.
Exactly.
A goon union.
The Goonion.
A goonion.
Yeah.
Don't Google that. Don't Google that. We'll meet here in my goon cave.
I don't know why we call it a cave.
Oh my god.
So Watrous pranked his friend. He was having a boating. He was boating. He was having a little boating picnic. In some versions, there's a honey on the boat, and a monster comes up and scares everybody. And by the next night, everybody at Lake George is saying, "There's a monster in the lake. There's a hippogriff in the lake. What's a hippogriff?
There's some insane
I don't know."
things. I read it in a book once. I flipped through the page. I was like, hippogriff, that's a funny word. Moving
Send me
on.
photos of hippogriffs.
Yeah, in true YouTube prank fashion, apparently,
You said it was just a prank, bro.
Watrous busted this out again for goofs, and in one story, there was like an engaged couple were canoeing by it, and it came up out of the water, and the man just fucking dipped. He just abandoned his wife, and she was like, "No, this you actually did me a favor. I thank you, hippogriff. You showed me that the man I'm about to marry is a huge cowardly piece of shit.
Yeah.
I want a
for
man
saving
that'll
me."
defend me from mythological creatures and
And she
sea
fell in love with the hippogriff.
Hey, good on her for knowing what she was looking for, right?
For real.
Exactly.
True.
And I really do want the fan fiction where she and the hippogriff then date on the
Hell
lakeside, but no.
The hippogriff is like, well, I was created about 4 hours ago.
Maybe they'll make a sequel to Shape of Water for you, John.
I mean, I love Shape
With
of
a
Water.
hippogriff? Yo.
But you know I'm a Guillermo del Toro. I'm a Guillermo del Toro stan, even though, not a flawless record.
Yeah.
No. But he has.
Hey man, when
he
you
does
put,
have
when you
crazy
put
monster
eyeballs
ideas.
on palms and do it like all practical, you got me sold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hippogriffs. That's Gryphons. Spencer, thanks for joining us, man. It's so good to
Yeah.
finally have you on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh man, what a
Yeah, it was a
blast!
wonder
I
to-
hope
it was a wonderful
my
time.
voice is as soothing as yours, guys. As all's is.
Thank
It
you.
was soothing to me. So, yeah.
Do you have any pluggables, Spiz?
Not huge ones. I think my
Oh,
phone
shit.
has given me
I
an
got that
alert.
same
Oh my
alert.
god, all three of you just got an alert.
Emergency
but I
alert
didn't.
severe.
Did we?
Ooh, earthquake
I
detected.
didn't get it yet.
I don't feel
Oh, it's
anything.
an earthquake alert.
That's funny.
there it is.
A little earthquake
Oh,
happened
nice.
just now.
Oh my god, you're shaking.
Oh,
Holy shit. Keep
nice.
this in.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shaking too. Actually,
We'll
Y'all
see,
good?
we'll see
I
if it
feel it.
rolls
You
over
feel
to where
that?
I am.
I feel it.
Do I have to
It's still
drop,
happening.
stop, drop, and roll?
Doesn't look
It's
intense enough for
still
stuff to
happening.
fall.
Yeah, Ryan's figurines are still on his shelf, so I think we're good.
Yeah, no, we're
Mine
good.
are-
It was
I'm
like
fine,
it was
too.
a light. It was a light shake.
I felt it. Holy shit. That's crazy. Earthquake
Oh,
live
it's
on
still
the
going.
podcast.
Hold on, aftershocks. Hold on.
This is thrilling podcasting.
This is
Oh
great.
man,
Y'all
if
good?
only it was a video podcast. Cause
I'm okay. It's funny.
I feel it. I'm still
it's funny. A
feeling
few
it.
days
It's
ago,
like-
someone was mentioning that an earthquake was going to happen.
Oh.
But then again,
Ooh.
it's like California, so.
Yeah, right. I think that
It's
might
California.
be.
You could say that at any time and be like, it's kind of right.
You guys
Yeah.
know Texas sharpshooter fallacy, right? Where somebody shoots a bunch of bullets into a barn and then draws the bullseyes later. There's like 100 shots, 100 hits.
Oh, man.
I'm 100% accurate. Now someone, what do you call it? Someone on a radio show was just like, oh, I felt like it was gonna be an earthquake day, and like an earthquake happened in like, what do you call it? In like Bakersfield in the middle of nowhere. It was like a 4.8 or something. It was like far enough. The epicenter was far enough away from any city to have them feel the full force of a 4.8. But it was still like a 4.8 out in the middle of nowhere, so it was just like, okay.
Wow.
Happens sometimes.
Anyway,
Well,
happens.
thank
Spiz,
you.
if you got nothing to plug, thanks so much.
Thank you,
coming
John.
I'm not
Yeah, thank you for
online,
coming.
man. My web presence minimal.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Ours too.
You keep it small so that you don't get mad at everything.
No,
Yeah.
I'm a ghost now. I gotta point people at scrub mode. Be like, find me on that one scrub
Yeah,
mode that one
please.
time.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know where I am? I'm on that show you never heard of. But
Why
maybe
you
heard of
curious
it now.
about half eagles? So I got that.
Yeah.
I got
I've
that.
done a lot. I got the deep
Yeah.
dive.
Oh man.
Thanks
Thank
to
you.
Jesse Sanders
You
for
know
the
what?
music.
Thank you, Jesse
Yeah.
Sanders.
Give us 5
Oh, yeah.
stars.
As a longtime fan, let me just let some of the other fans know that music doesn't play for us at the beginning. That's just for you to enjoy. That soothing.
No, you're ruining the magic. The majesty.
I'm sorry. I was half expecting to groove into the beginning of the podcast.
That
on
would
it,
be cool.
'cause I
if
always
had
do.
I should.
I'm so sorry.
I
I'm
should
sorry
set that
that
up,
you
but I
have to
just
face the
don't feel
truth
like it.
about Hollywood magic.
Anyway, thank you
Thanks
for
for
listening.
listening.
Sorry, kid. This is the true life of Hollywood. You don't get all the glitz from the post production.
What do you mean green screen?
Oh man.
I'm all green screen. I'm not the actual Ryan.
Yeah, what you guys aren't saying is that Spencer's covered head to toe in a green screen suit on a green screen background. Him ready.
Which is why his video is gray
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
man.
all green except for this mustache.
Anyway, we'll see y'all
I was
next,
wondering what that hair was floating there, though.
We'll see y'all next time.
Eyebrow, unibrow, what's going on?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Give us a comment. Maybe we'll read it if
Yeah.
it shows up.
Yeah. If it gets to us, we'll shut you out.
Also,
Thanks.
shout outs to the emergency alert system that came right before the earthquake.
Yeah.
And then the earthquake came seconds later, and I was like, that's enough time to actually stop, drop, and roll.
That's fires, Ryan. You-
It's okay. It avoids earthquakes all the same.
Okay.
Earthquake law has advanced since I left California. Anyway, thank you. Sorry.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Oi.